story reading wrap up. And I will tell you about the 6 books that I'm going to be talking about in this video. And the first one is Beauty by Robin McKinley. Okay, so I have mixed feelings about this because as I was reading it and listening to it, I did enjoy it. And I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it because I am hard pressed to enjoy a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And it's several things, like I've talked about the relationship dynamics, my kind of reserved, how I feel, I have reservations about that dynamic. But also, I've noticed, without even realizing it, reading a lot of Cinderella retellings, she's in community a lot, even though she's isolated with the stepsisters. Like she's always speaking with townspeople, or I just feel like it feels less isolated. And so those kinds of stories are going to make me feel lonely. And this one, it was just, once she was at the castle, she's there and it's her and him and not much else. So I did enjoy this. I gave it 3 stars, which was a big deal for a Beauty and the Beast retelling. But it was the following book that then has just kind of really, really made it pale in comparison. And I have not had any huge successes with Robin McKinley so far, because then I have tried twice and failed to read Spindle's End. And it just felt so slow. And I think it's her writing, because I don't mind other books that are slow, like Wives and Daughters, and other, like Juliet Marillier's books have a lot of slow, low-key parts to them, but it's the writing that keeps me reading. So I think, unfortunately, it might be her writing, but she does have a retelling of Deerskin, which is in the Cinderella kind of cycle, but it's a much, much darker retelling. I don't know how many of you know about the origins of Deerskin, but you can look it up if you are curious, because it's very dark. But the next one that I'm going to talk about is the one that it was just like, move on over, step aside, because this is a new standard, and it was Son of the Deep by K.B. Hoyle. I still am just overwhelmed by the emotions that I feel when I think about this book. I don't know if you saw, but I had the huge, huge honor of interviewing the author, K.B. Hoyle, on my channel. I will link that interview down below. She was delightful to speak with. And this story was a marvelous, marvelous retelling of The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid is not one of those fairy tales that I automatically, am like, I would love to read a retelling of that. It's one that I find it really interesting, but it's not up there. But this was the first book being published by Owl's Nest Publishers, and I really was curious what was it going to be like, and I fell in love immediately when I read this book. Our main characters, and it's a gender bend one, so it's actually a merman, the Little Merman retelling, is Orfeo. And then, which in the interview, I referred to him as Orpheus a couple times, so I was really glad that Karen, or KB, she did tell me it's actually Orfeo. And then Rose is the princess. And it is a little bit kind of Romeo and Juliet, because there's this dynamic, this history between humans and merfolk, this very complicated, messy history, and a lot of politics involved. And it is just the kind of fairy tales and romances that can really speak to me are these forbidden ones, where just going up against all the odds and doing anything within your power. And I just thought that the way that the story was told was really, I didn't feel overwhelmed by the details of the past of the people's history, and I thought it was woven in at a really good rate. I didn't feel overwhelmed by all the information that was there. The characterization was pristine. Orfeo and Rose felt so real to me, and it was just so romantic. And I was so captivated by the story. The pacing just kept me turning page after page after page after page. And it was just splendid. So this book comes out on March the 15th. And it is going to be a marvelous, marvelous day when it does come out. And I highly, highly recommend this fairy tale retelling. So please do go out and get Son of the Deep. Okay, the next one that I read, or the next two, were the last two in the Henry Huggins series by Beverly Cleary. I'm having so much fun reading through a lot of Beverly Cleary this year. And Henry and the Clubhouse, I gave 5 stars, and Ribsy, I can't remember if I gave it 5 or 4 stars. And the only reason is that it made me really, really sad, because a lot of the book, Ribsy is separated from Henry because of this unusual circumstance. Ribsy gets in the wrong car. He thinks it's Henry's car, and then he gets separated from his boy. It's so sad. He keeps thinking, like, I have to get back to Henry, and it just broke my heart how much he wanted to be back with him. But it was a great one, and it was a really... I don't know how I feel about it being the last Henry Huggins book, kind of this one where they're separated for a lot, but Henry did feel very grown up in it, and I love that kid. He's a great, great kid, and such a wonderful series. So I am now reading the Ramona books, and I will report back if I end up feeling differently about Ramona in my March wrap-up. And then I read, oh goodness, now I have to like clutch my heart for this, because just speaking about Juliet Marillier, I read Child of the Prophecy. I need a moment to collect myself. It was the third in the Seven Waters trilogy, and you are now getting to know some of the grandchildren of the original family that Daughter of the Forest starts out with. So I really love the kind of getting to know the different generations of the family, and just seeing how things unfold for this family. There is prophecies that have been made about this family. So you know something big will be happening to them, and they have this deep just connection to the land that they are living in. There's such a sense of place in these books. This one was a hard sell for me at first, and I actually tried reading it back in August, but I was in a very specific reading mood in August, and I set it down and I said, you know what, I don't want to ruin my chances with this. I will come back to it another time. And now I am so glad that I did. It was just so beautiful. But what made it a hard sell at first too is that there is this very evil character who you have seen a little bit on and off through other books, and you're spending a lot more time with them in this, and so the stakes were very high, and I really didn't know if I could trust certain characters at the beginning of the book, so I really had my guard up kind of emotionally as I was reading it. And it took me about 200 pages, honestly, which sounds like so much, but her writing is so beautiful. And this just to me is everything that I want in a fairy tale retelling, because the characterization is so intense, and the writing is just so incredibly evocative. Like, I don't feel the need to travel there physically at all because of how her writing is. The sense of place, the connection to the land, and it's just kind of very, very cottagecore. I love it. And kind of learning about these natural medicine and herbal remedies, all of it, it's just perfect. I don't know what else to say about it. So I'm really, really excited. I ended up giving this one 5 stars. At first, when I was reading, I was like, oh, I don't know, am I going to DNF this again? And then I kept reading and thought, okay, well, it will get 3 stars. And then I thought, actually, I think it will get 4 stars. And at the end, I was like, 5 stars, hands down. So the first 3 in the Seven Waters trilogy have now gotten 5 stars, which I say trilogy, but it's expanded. I think there are 6 total in that series. So yes, I love this, love this, love this. The romance in this one I was really surprised by it, but I love that. I love not seeing it coming and being really uncertain about things, and just, yes. I did not see what happened at the ending coming. I did not see that coming. So I think maybe, hopefully, in the month of April, I will treat myself to the next one. And Petra Yu is, I call, she is my guide through Juliet Marillier. So I have loved getting to hear her talk about the other Juliet Marillier series that she has read. And I'm looking forward to carrying on. Okay, then I read The Vanderbeekers to the Rescue, and this is the third in the Vanderbeekers series. Now, I will say that my reservations about the kids having secrets from their parents, it was better in this one. In the second one, it was really, really bad. Like, I couldn't stand all of the information the kids were holding back from their parents. But I loved that Cleary on Goodreads, you can see, you know, she's one of the like top reviews if you're friends with her on Goodreads. Or maybe actually I'll just link her review. She has pointed out that what she doesn't like about these books, she still likes the books, but the element that she doesn't enjoy is that when the kids think, oh, I have this really great idea, let's do this, as opposed to kind of honest mistakes. And that's why I really like the Henry Huggins books. It's kind of like he comes upon these situations just accidentally. Like he almost doesn't know how he put himself in them. And yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, I have this great idea. And then you have to kind of be there for the fallout when they carry out this great plan. So that does kind of bother me about it. But there is so much warmth and love in this family. And they do really value what their parents think. So it's not totally like, just forget our parents. I do really like the family dynamic overall in it. And what I love is there's just a beautiful chaos in the Vanderbeeker household and a really, really sweet, touching ending. And it has made me excited because it's going to change a lot of the dynamics in the upcoming book. So I'm excited about that. And I think there's a new one coming out this year, the sixth one, I think. So yeah, it's an ongoing series, which is lovely. And then I am excited to talk about Murphy's Law by Rhys Bowen. So I am now officially reading 3 Rhys Bowen series, and I'm very happy to be doing so. I love her writing. So I am now, I've read 10 of the Her Royal Spinus series and 2.5 of the Constable Evans series. So just delighting in starting the Molly Murphy series. I will say the Molly Murphy series seems the most kind of serious out of the 3 series, but that's only the first one. But it is very much about the immigrant experience coming to America, very early 1900s. You have this dream of making this life for yourself, and so do thousands upon thousands of other immigrants. And it just shows what a fight and a struggle it is. And just like the conditions on the ships that immigrants would travel over, and then the conditions in the tenements, the unbelievable amounts of prejudice that specifically Irish immigrants had to deal with. It really explains then kind of why immigrant communities would end up kind of, the Irish, immigrants would all be in a neighborhood together, the Italians all in a neighborhood together. So it was a really, I felt, well-researched portrayal of the immigrant experience. A few years ago, I got to visit the Tenement Museum in Manhattan. And so before going into this book, I thought, oh boy, is Rhys Bowen going to have, kind of is she going to look at the immigrant experience with rose-colored glasses? And definitely not. Like, it felt very serious and very high stakes. Like, you get there and you just you have to find a job to have money to pay rent and to get food and, just supplies to live all at once. And it just felt very daunting and overwhelming. So I really liked this setup. Molly Murphy is on the run, and just through a set of circumstances, she ends up going to America. So I am hosting a monthly book club meeting through this series. So we will be reading one a month, and it was a really great first Zoom discussion. And I am excited to carry on with the next book in the month of March, at the end of the month. And then lastly, a big deal that I am excited about is I read Felix Holt by George Eliot. So now I can say that I have read all of George Eliot's main novels. And I am not really sad about being finished because her books stand up to rereads so incredibly well. And I think I'm so excited to reread her books again and again and again. Felix Holt, it is not, as far as the rankings go, I am going to be rereading The Mill on the Floss in May, and I will do an official ranking video. But it's not way up there at the tippity tops with favorites, but it's a solid kind of middling. I really did enjoy it. The thing that was the handicap that it had is that it is a political novel. And I'm going to be very hard pressed to find a political novel that every single chapter and section will interest me and entertain me. So the book was kind of a bit like my reading experience of Bleak House by Charles Dickens, where the chapters that were about the characters that I was interested in, I found fascinating. And I was fascinated by them. The character of Esther Lyon, I loved because she's so much more than you think she's going to be at the beginning. I kind of had all these notions about her, and then they were really turned on their head. And then the character of Felix Holt. And then there are several other characters that I just found so interesting. And there are lots of twists and turns in this one. So pretty much every George Eliot novel, there are twists and turns. And even though her novels are calmer than other Victorian novels, she still does feel very much like a Victorian novelist. And so Felix Holt starts out where there is this big election that's happening in the town, and all of the lives of the characters, kind of how they are affected by this election and the unrest that happens because of it. And so there were some, it also had just some really sweet elements to it. So yes, even if it's a middling George Eliot, it's a George Eliot. So I really, really liked it. And now I am excited because finally I can read the biography I have by Jenny Uglow, and I really wanted to read another one by Jenny Uglow because I loved her Elizabeth Gaskell one, but you can see how much longer her Gaskell one is. So I also know that maybe it's called George Eliot, The Last Victorian. So I will see how much I want to read up on her life. I know there's some real sadness and heartache there, but I am excited to learn more about her. I do know a couple of Victorian authors that I never want to read biographies of, but George Eliot and Elizabeth Gaskell, they're ones that, and now I've read the huge 900-page Bronte one, so it's been fun doing those. I do think, I don't know when I'm going to be reading Trollope's autobiography because somebody told me that there are just spoilers for basically all of his novels, and I can't decide if I'm willing to be spoiled or not. So I own it, I have it if I want to pick it up. But I do think maybe one of Robert Louis Stevenson would be fun. But I'm jumping ahead of myself and just borrowing new book projects for myself. Thank you as always for watching, and I will be back with another video, probably part 2 of my February reading wrap up soon, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Bye.